And of course, my internet is unstable. Got to have an unstable internet connection to stream, right?
Otherwise, you're not on the internet.
That's the truth.
It's a series of tubes, you know.
All right, so we are live. I'm just going to share this new link with the folks. It'd be great if that would close. Guess it's not gonna. There we go. Sorry about this, guys. Usually I'm a little bit more organized.
I've heard about this new link. It's the same as the old link. And we won't be fooled again.
We won't be fooled again. Well, thanks, last minuters. It's nice to have a few of you guys in the room. I think Collin's going to show up. Johnny B said he might show up, and Mark Scialdone might show up as well. Oh, what do you got there, Sam?
Ooh, looks like some terpy goodness.
Jesus, looks like some honey oil.
Okay, what is it, Sam? 1 gram of D9 THC.
THCP, it said.
THCP, whoa.
I think I saw a P on there.
Absolutely correct.
Ooh.
Of course, Sam, eh?
Yeah, right. So, Sam, what's the high on that sucker?
It's strong as fuck.
Strong as fuck, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it here first on Hash Church. Strong as fuck is Skunkman Sam's THCP. So are you taking like a micro pin tip head of that? Or how are you?
I took a couple of regular size dabs of it, and it was a bit, creeper at first. And then I smoked the third one. I smoked half rosin and half THCP. And about the time I finished that one, I was getting pretty hammered from the first two. And yeah, before long, I couldn't walk.
Literally lost the motor functions in your legs, or you just fell?
Well, I could walk, but I had to hold on to the walls, and I felt like I was doing the shimmy shake as I did it. What it kind of reminds me of is if you eat a lot of THC and it goes through the first liver pass, and then you end up with 11-hydroxy. It reminded me almost more of 11-hydroxy than THC, because I vaped it. But
how long did it last? What was the onset? How long was the onset?
It lasted quite a while. Onset was not super particularly fast, but it had long duration, very long duration.
Can you give us any type of an hour, 2 hours, 15 minutes? No time designation?
No, because I was too fucking high, man.
Dude, I don't think enough people understand how ridiculous that is, what you just said. I was too fucking high. When's the last time you were too fucking high? When you ate like 100 hits of acid?
Not very recently, but if you try hard enough, sooner or later you do succeed.
Ain't that the truth? I'll say that is the truth. Even for myself, who I don't claim to have the same level of tolerance as you, I can puff pretty good, but every once in a while I surprise myself and I just find myself like, whoo, I destroyed myself.
Well, I mean, I can remember at Legends where we would get so fucking high on that Afghan hubbly bubbly, smoking, full melt clear dome, but I could still walk.
Right. It's true. It's true. I could still walk. That's true. The only time my walking was ever affected was the first time I ever smoked at your house. And I could still walk, although it was a lot like John Cleese in the Funny Walk Monty Python clip. I was still doing it. Not being able to walk is a serious level of highness that I think I've only really experienced on psychedelics, or maybe eating large doses.
When I've seen it more is when you orally eat several grams of THC. That will get you to that point also.
So what was it an immediate peak? Did it come on gradually when you came
It came
down?
on.
Was it a come
It was
down
more of a
gradually?
it was more of a creeper, and I'm not sure about when it actually left because I was smoking. By then, I was smoking hits that was half THC and half THCP, and but it was high enough that the next day I didn't want to smoke it.
Did the Mrs. try it to also gauge her, or just you alone?
Yeah, right.
I tried everything I could to persuade her to take it, but she was too smart for me.
She knows you like the back of her hand, dude. What are you talking about? You're not going to persuade her to get lit on THCP. That's insane. But I'll come over and hit some.
I was about to say, if she's not, I'm more than happy to volunteer myself to, experiment. It's serious. It's only scientific experimentation, ladies and gentlemen, strictly.
Yeah, an interesting way to try it might be because it has no terpenes and it has no other cannabinoids, so it's pretty, it doesn't have individuality, the way we enjoy with cannabis products. But for example, let's say you were going to roll a joint and you smeared some of this on a cigarette paper before you rolled it. I bet you anything that would instantly make the strongest joint you've ever smoked, and it would taste good.
Would you do a thin line with a pin on the paper, or would you just spot dab it on the paper?
Whatever somebody enjoys doing is what I would do.
But a thin line would actually work, right? Like
I never smoked marijuana, as you know, so I'm merely speaking theoretically here,
Theoretically,
Sam
understood.
hates it, right? Lots of hate coming on.
I've been waiting to hear someone puffing on this THCP for a while. So, Sam, it's not the stuff you want to be taking to concerts and putting in joints and passing over to
I don't
strangers.
think so, because I think if you passed it to somebody who was a naive user, it might be too much for them. It'll give them, a bad trip on marijuana.
So it would be just a straight THC high, just consistent elevation, as you said, since it was a creeper. That would definitely be something not comfortable for a neophyte user for sure, because they want to feel they've arrived at an area. Not the people that I've been around that I've gotten too high, that was their explanation, was like, I keep getting high. I keep getting higher. It won't stop getting high.
You see it even more commonly, Jen, with oral, when people eat hash cookies and they eat one or two and they're not getting that zone, so they eat a couple more, and then the first ones start coming on.
And then time stops.
But I would like to see a variety of cannabis that was high in THCP, so with breeding if possible, because I don't know how THC is created. In other words, is there a THCP synthase? Is it a different feedstock that's going in and therefore the THC? Is it, in other words, if you look at the CBD synthase, it produces CBD, but it also produces about a 20-to-1 ratio of THC along with the CBD. So maybe this is also being produced by one of the other synthases. I just don't know.
Where did you extract? Is there a particular genetic you extracted this from, or is this just a culmination of things that you extracted?
I'll explain that to you later. I don't want to do it in public.
Understood. Thank you kindly. Appreciate it. You mystery scientists, good luck with that.
I think the last time I was too high was with when I spent time with you, Marcus, in Amsterdam, and we were puffing super heavy with Summer's flower and then some hash. And I remember walking around in Amsterdam in a circle, and then finally walking past the group that was in the party with us, and they're like, Collin, and I'm like, hey. They're like, oh, I'm just trying to go home. They're like, dude, you left like 2 hours ago to go home. And I was just like walking in the circle, and I just, until they said something to me, it didn't even register. I was just like vibing, enjoying the city, enjoying night, you know.
One of the highest,
That was like 10 years ago, 12, 15, maybe, yeah, 15 years ago.
one of the highest I remember was actually Sam. I was in Amsterdam visiting Positronics. You were visiting with old Ed. And Bernard was there, Todd was there. This is what, 96? And you walked in with this black glass chunk, Sam, and you clicked off a piece, and the sound of the click made me go, what the hell? And you passed it to Ed, and Ed packed a pipe and passed it around, and my eyes rolled back in the back of my head. And next thing I know, I was standing over by, remember the mother plants with the George Washington picture inside? I was standing there, and my wife came over to me and was like, Etienne, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know where I am. So that's one of the earliest, most highest I've ever been. Credit Sam.
That's legit.
I say I'm not guilty.
You technically were. You were completely not guilty. I'm the one who inhaled it and put it into my lungs. The next thing I know, I don't remember. So, you know, it was completely my fault. But thank you for assisting in my faultness. So the THCP, are you putting it straight onto flour, or are you just dabbing it direct?
I'm putting it right into one of, you know, this pipe I always smoke.
That's a Swiss perk. Yeah.
Drizzler, I think they call it.
No, it's Dizzle. Nate Dizzle is the
That's
guy.
what I
who
said,
do-
the Drizzler.
Yeah, without the R, you fucking THCPer. You're like, that's like when I talk to my friends, I'm like, it's trichomes. Yeah, I know, I said trichromes. No, trichomes. I know, I said it, trichromes. Whatever.
Yeah, I catch that all the time from people.
What strand is that trichromes?
Yeah, but how much?
Does that trichomes have the CBDs?
Is
The
this a strand
CBDs,
bar
how
in
many
there?
CBDs are in there?
None, zero. In the THCP, there's no CBD.
I wonder what you would octane that at. 99%, 0.9999% THCP.
Yeah, no, it's 99.4% THCP.
Oh, so it's full of contaminants.
Yeah, mostly lead and zinc and gold and
A little bit
all
of
those
platinum
heavy
there.
metals.
So there's a little bit of Judas Priest and a little bit of Iron Maiden in there. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
What are you guys puffing on? I'm puffing on Johnny B's Medi Kush, little full melt that he gifted me, some 90 micron. Very nice, very melty.
I'm puffing on some creme brulee from Papa and Barkley. It's a rosin.
Oh, wow, nice color.
I got
Yeah.
a little New York City garlic. I left this out last night, so it got a little, starting
Nice
to
jar.
Oxidized.
go. Yeah, a little bit. But ooh, that looks nice. Sam.
There's the THCP.
Yes,
That
look
shit
at that
looks nuts.
golden.
And you
That
didn't
looks
just.
really nice, dude.
How much is that, Sam? Like, is that just 1 gram?
Yeah, it's a gram, and it's like really thick honey oil. In other words, if you tilt it, it will eventually almost pour.
But it's hella sticky, right?
Oh yeah, it's sticky as fuck, but it's a little bit more liquidy than shatter.
Have you experimented with evaporation temperatures? When does it tend to evaporate?
No, I don't know any of that kind of shit yet.
My shit's hot. It hit it. I got high. Next thing I know, I'm high.
Yep. I went right to the, the core of the issue, which is, what is it like compared to pure THC? Because I'm experienced with that. And it leaves THC in the dust.
You
And
know,
do
what
you
was
like that, Sam? Like, were you like my new best friend when you took a couple of puffs?
No, because I really like THC with the right suite of terpenes. That is my cream de la cream.
So is THCP, Sam? Is it an effect that is immediate, or is it?
No, it's
is it
not
kind of-
immediate.
is
It's
it
more of a
creepy?
creeper.
Okay.
It's more of a creeper.
Even with the terps added, or was this when you just hit
No,
it?
I'm talking about without the terps, just
Right.
the THCP itself.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Oh, Dr. Mark is trying to get in right now, and it's giving him some weird baloney. Here, let me see if he can't get in.
Well, while waiting, and always fun to do it, a interaction part that's fun on YouTube is let's ask everybody who's watching us, what are they smoking right now?
Well, no, what we could do is we could play a different game. It's called Let's Guess What Dr. Mark is going to say to me as soon as he comes online. He's going to say that there's lots of people who sell THCP in America, but it's all Delta 8 THC.
Sure.
In other words, they just didn't clean up their THCP the way they claim.
And here he is.
There's the man. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Doc.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Howdy, Mark. I already told him everything you're going to say, so you could just save your breath. And
So is it Delta 8 or is it Delta 9?
It's Delta 8.5. That's what's happening.
It's
Delta
9
8.5.
10, huh? Delta
because I also got Delta 8 THC from the same folks.
That's so funny. Oh man.
I can hear Kevin Sabet now. They're making a new marijuana crack called THCP.
We should tell him it's THCPP, and that way he'll go around telling everybody, whatever you do, don't smoke the THCPP.
Don't touch it. No. Don't touch the pee-pee.
Did you hear anything that was discussed?
Yeah, I did. So it is synthetic, right, Sam?
Yes, it is.
I knew he was going to go for that one.
It's made synthetically. That's correct.
Right. So how do you compare?
It's actually made from a natural material, but it's synthesized from that. Correct.
Yeah. Well, everything must be made from a natural material unless we're importing feedstocks from Mars. Everything comes from Earth, right?
Even stuff on Earth
came from space.
Yeah, even the stuff from Earth came from other stars. So where does that end?
Damn.
Yes, star stuffer.
Yeah, why does it end at Mars? Nature isn't on Mars? That's like...
Yeah, fuck Mercury and Venus,
Right. Is there life on Mars?
Ask Mr. Bowie. He would know by now.
Right, exactly.
Ground control.
Yeah, so it's synthetic, right? So that means it's made by a chemist in a laboratory, not by a producer of a cultivated plant at a grow, right? So this is a different kind.
Different same things.
It was first isolated from a plant by the Italians, and but the yield in a plant is 0.00001, so it's not practical to extract it.
Probably for good reason if it's as strong as you say it is.
Am I hung up here?
No, we could hear you, Mark. You're just a little choppy, Doc.
You just stuck.
Am I back? Okay.
back.
Yeah. So it's only there in a trace amount. Well, again, could this be one of the things that leads to the entourage effect, even if it's in trace amounts, but 30 times more active? Could it be part of the cannabinoid soup that makes things more active as an extract versus the natural cannabinoids?
THCP has not been found in all that many varieties, so I
Yeah.
don't suspect that's true.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess.
well-
with like a proton NMR.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say.
Perhaps it's part of that uncharacterized fraction of
Right.
what's in there. And now that there's analytical standards for it, we could actually find it. That doesn't mean that it hasn't been there all along. It could be, there could be that. So this is the cannabinoid with the C7 side chain. The THC's got a C5 side chain. The C3s are the varins. It would only go to show that there's a distribution of all of those chain lengths in the molecule from C1 all the way up to maybe even C11 and higher. So those are going to be higher molecular weight, but they're all going to have kind of like the same cannabinoid structure. They're just going to have different tails. And I guess the thing that I've wondered is, again, the group that looked at making, those compounds, Sam, with the two methyl groups next to the benzene ring. So it's thought of that that methylene that's next to the benzene ring is an active site for oxidation in the liver. So what they did is they put two methyl groups there to block it. And so there's a bunch of compounds, I think the JW compounds, or maybe they were HU compounds. That's what they were. HU compounds made at Hebrew University that were C7, but they had two extra methyl groups right next to the benzene ring to block metabolic oxidation at that benzoic position. So I always thought that was interesting, that this is just sort of like the linear version of a C7 versus kind of like C7 in a sort of different isomeric form. I guess the other thing that you'd have to think about is, again, the enantiomeric purity of the starting material terpene that you're using with. So the way that you make these compounds is you react something called PM diol under acidic conditions with the dihydroxybenzene derivative. So this would be a dihydroxybenzene with the C7 substituent. And that's a difficult reaction, and it's difficult to make that diol. So I hope that what you're smoking here comes from the laboratory of experienced chemists, because not only to make that reaction work well, so the product is clean, the starting material is a little bit of a challenge. You don't just snap your fingers and get it. You do derive it from limonene, but it's a diol that's derived from limonene, and it uses there's an oxidation in there. I don't know if it's peracetic acid or hydrogen peroxide, but something that can go boom in that prep.
When I tried to get this a couple months ago, I couldn't, because they hadn't yet successfully separated the THCP from the Delta 9 from the Delta 8 THCP. But now they have successfully separated the two.
So basically what you're saying, ladies and gentlemen, is you're hearing Dr. Mark tell you is don't try this at home.
Yeah, and the people who are making this are in pharmaceutical laboratories doing preparative chromatographic separations that you need $100,000 equipment.
Yes,
and really highly trained staff.
That's
I can just
correct,
imagine,
Mark.
because I know the people that are over there across the pond who Sam's getting this from. So I hope, again, there's
well, you got to remember too that gee whiz, it was a couple months ago, Max Monrose said he had THCP. Remember that, Marcus?
Yes, vaguely I do. Sorry, I was reading. I'm trying
And
to.
he
keep up on the
never
chat.
showed up with it.
Oh, he never did.
At the time, you, Mark, were worried about whether or not it was truly THCP, or you wanted to analyze it, and I was in favor of you doing that because I was skeptical also, Mark.
That's the first THCP I've ever seen. So I've only heard it as a mythical unicorn, and now I've actually seen the unicorn. It's pretty.
Yep. And if it was terpene rich with the right terpenes that you like, I bet you it would be unbelievably wonderful.
I accept that challenge.
Because pure THC is stronger than THC mixed with terpenes. But let me tell you, you don't want to smoke it. You want to smoke the THC with the terpenes in resin or something, because it's way more enjoyable, and actually less THC will get you higher than pure THC of an equal weight.
Yeah, I was talking with Michael Bacchus, and he was saying, or maybe I heard it here, about how he was doing modulations with he was feeding people high THC early in the day, and later on he was feeding them low THC, high terps, and they were getting higher later in the day because of the less THC, because of the saturation in the CB1s, and then just coming back behind it with the terps, re-stimulated, reactivated it, and re-elevated it higher than it was prior.
Yeah, I'm convinced that it was the terps that enabled original haze of select cultivars. You could smoke it, and no matter what time of the day you smoked it, no matter what you've been doing, whether you've been up all day or you've just woke up, you would get higher from one big hit on a bong of original haze weed. It always got you higher. There was no ceiling. I'm positive that was strictly the terpenes.
What was that at the gray area? They used to have the one bowl challenge or the one hit challenge. What was that? Where you go?
It sounds like the trichome challenge, but that was Adam.
That was Adam at THC.
Yeah, he did that at the Cannabis Cup. He had the chair set up. I've seen some amazing ones. I've actually got some old ones from the 90s on video of him.
He also made it almost impossible to finish a trichome bowl.
Challenge,
I mean,
right? He couldn't cough.
Yeah, for a minute.
It was fucking enormous.
It was enormous. And he would hit it. I remember a couple of years, it was out of a 3-foot glass bong.
Right. It was a tall piece as well. Right.
I got video of the tallest where he had the big chair set up. It was like, you got to sit in the chair because the pipe's like 5 or 6 feet long. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he got all kinds of silly people to do that, from film porn stars to Woody Harrelson to
Misty Rain.
Not really much difference between those two, but
also Crazy Sean.
Yeah, I saw him do that to hundreds of people, and I did it once or twice, but the bowls were too big. I like a big bowl, but not to the point where it makes me uncomfortable.
He actually has fish on there doing it. I think 2 or 3 of them did the trichome challenge, like when they went there in the late 90s and or maybe early 2000s. I can't remember, but he has all the footage.
I tried it, failed hard, but it was a fun fail.
True. That's awesome. I wonder why Johnny B never came in for a visit. It's like a nice day over there, Dr. Mark.
I one time took about a ½ ounce of dry sift over there, and remember Matt used to work with them?
Oh yeah.
Okay, he knocked it over and it fell all over a shag carpet.
Oh dear God, the look.
Is that why he moved away?
No, it's not why he moved away. It's why he should have moved away.
He bounced to California to work with Jeff at Aqua Labs.
Is that where he ended up?
I think so. If my memory serves me correct. I mean, Jeff's probably watching. He can either correct me if I'm wrong or confirm. Hash bean, yeah. Someone's like, it reminds me of Hash bean doing gauntlets with one of the 100 glass bongs he has. That guy was nuts. The most impressive one I saw Hash Bean do was where he built the little tent that he sat inside, and he turned on his volcano until you couldn't see him in this tent anymore. And it was a clear tent. It's pretty wild. Miss that guy. I always had a good time.
Imitate the Scythians?
What's that?
Was he trying to imitate the Scythians?
I mean, honestly, I think he was. You
I mean,
know Hash Bean, right? He's the kid that.
Oh yeah, Hash Bean. He used to light bongs at the Legends.
He sure did.
I mean, water pipes.
Hubbly bubblies.
Bubbly bubblies.
Hubbly bubble bubble bubble.
Dude, tell you, those hubbly bubblies, those are special. Legends needs to get some hubbly bubblies. So if you're from Afghanistan, if you have access to hubbly bubblies, Legends of Hash needs to have a couple of its own hubbly bubblies for the ritual, because wherever Legends happens, it needs to have
A proper bubbly.
Yeah, one year we even set up TVs with old footage, someone's footage from the 70s of like puffing hubbly bubblies in Afghanistan. So while we're in line in the restaurant leading up to the hubbly bubbly, on the TVs, there's like these dudes doing the same thing, just in Afghanistan, puffing these hubbly bubblies. And it was a pretty magical experience.
What we should also do is maybe get some sort of a laser sight so that we can see how high the flame shoots up after you take a big draw. So does it shoot up 1 foot? Does it shoot up 2 feet? Does it shoot up 3 feet, 4 inches?
Yeah, exactly. If Hash Bean was hitting it, it was going to hit the full 2+ feet. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, I used to watch the flame from the hubbly bubbly and try to estimate how many grams of hash was in that flame.
Oh my God. Good times. Very good times. I'm just trying to keep up with the chat.
There's also, I'm supposed to, in the next month or so, get THCB, which is another isomer of THC, but it is weaker. It's only supposed to be about 25% as strong as THC.
THCV?
No, THCB as in baby.
B as in baby. Beta.
Got it. That's the C6, is that right?
I believe so, yes. It was also discovered by the Italian group.
That found the THCP.
Yes, also, yes. I think they even found the B first, I forget.
Well, here's
Interesting.
to our Italian brethren.
Yeah, the Italians always popping up, you know, like for a country that's been so harsh against herb for so long, telling you it's not like the most herb friendly country, or at least it
Well,
was.
but they always had a very large cannabis industry for hemp. They had the finest quality hemp in Europe. And then after the industry died down in Italy, the French sort of took it over, but they were really producing seeds more than the French weren't mass producing fiber. They were, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Italians that made that Gardella machinery that was, I mean, it would take it straight off take off the core and you'd be left with wet green fiber hanging straight. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff back, and this is the early to mid 90s. So I don't even know if they're still around, but they made some of the finest decorticators, and because it was done wet like that, they were able to immediately comb it and have a nice natural delignated, hemp. It was
Also had a better
for fine weaving.
Also had a better golden color.
Yeah, it had a better golden color when they would than what we would get in Hungary and Romania and the Czech Republic.
Yeah, because out there it's field retted and it lays in the field, and molds get on it and it turns gray.
Well, we actually water retted ours, but yeah, it's a lot of the Polish definitely came out grayer because they were field rating it, and that's just a natural bacteria eating the lignin people. That's what kind of tends to cause it to go that gray color in the field. Whereas we would take these large cement baths and submerge our hemp in it so that the lignin and the natural bacteria would eat at the lignin, and then you would able to just peel it right off the core. Whereas that Gardella machinery did that right out of the field, right into a truck. So it saved time, money, expense because of the labor of moving all that hemp to those water, submersion points, and then the labor of pulling that off, etc. I mean, one machine can do that compared to how many people?
The Italians used to pond ret their hemp too, and the Hungarians also. They had all of these farms fairly near the river, and then the river would divert a little bit of water to the retting ponds, and then they would flush it out with new water and do it again and again and again and again. Okay.
It just a minor hiccup there.
No, I got bounced and I'm recording it so I can upload it to the podcast afterwards. And I guess now that I got bounced, it'll be 2 separate episodes, or at least part 1 and part 2. Recording in process. Imagine hearing that 25 years ago. What?
Oh, everybody would have shut off. You'd be like, what happened to Hash? I don't know. All of a sudden this thing says recording and everybody turned off and ran away.
That happened all the time at the Dead Show.
Ooh.
I'll call you from a payphone and let you know what happened.
Hey, that must have been what was keeping Alice and John out, or they just literally just came in at that exact time. But yeah, I think my computer was jacked up. Welcome, both of you.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Gabs.
I
Morning,
miss
beautiful
you all. I haven't been here in a while.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Alice. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you all too.
Yeah.
There's a question for Sam. One question. Does he feel there is one mother variety to all cannabis, or what is his view on how it evolved? I feel it was one variety that migrated from a central. Sam?
I'm not sure if he's speaking of a particular reference like the Dr. John McPartland reference where he says it originated in Tibet 3 million years ago. But I honestly do not know, because the oldest cannabis remains they found are just tens of thousands of years old. In other words, they don't have any seeds or pollen or fiber or stalks or flowers, anything that's older than tens of thousands of years. So I really don't know. I'm very, very curious, and I can speculate, but that's all it is, just speculation.
Yeah, a lot of us have speculated it possibly goes back to Gondwana land when it was one landmass, but we can't find any, in certain, as you know, certain continents just never had it.
Yeah,
until
for
man
example,
brought it.
there is no cannabis remains in America older than 500 years pre-Columbian. There's no pollen, no seeds, no fiber, no flowers. There is none in the Americas, North or South America.
That's crazy. Is this like John McPartland's work? Isn't he like?
Yeah, John McPartland did the Tibetan, where he says that evidence steers him towards Tibetan plateau 3 million years ago, but he does not have any remains that are even 50,000 years old.
It's a theory. There's no concrete proof.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And I like John a lot. I like his work, but that all it is a theory at this point.
Is that basically what we saw in Leiden that he presented with all the pollen?
That is the same paper where I asked him some difficult questions afterwards, basically where he admitted that there were no physical remains that were 3 million years old, or even 30 or even 50,000 years old in Tibet.
That's pretty interesting.
Hey, Mark, if you like to invite John onto church, I'm working with him on a current project, so I've been in touch with him lately.
Yeah, of
And,
course, anytime.
Yeah, so let's talk about that and just give him some advance notice because he does have a medical practice and is often committed to seeing patients. And
Like more than an hour?
yeah, and well, on Sunday, I'm sure he's not seeing patients. So yeah, let's try to set him up to come on Hash Church.
No, you're wrong. He has been working on Sundays. He's been helping with COVID doctoring in Vermont.
Yeah.
Crazy times.
Anyway.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Mark. I'll
Yep.
definitely pick you up on that. Do it up. Awkward silence.
I'm gonna have to bounce here in just a little bit because we're on our way up to New York. The Feast of San Gennaro, which is one of the great Italian festivals that happens in Lower Manhattan, is happening this afternoon, and so we're going to go up there with my daughter. And so,
wow. Sounds like
happy.
fun.
You can be jealous, Mark.
Yeah, happy
Jealous,
Hash Church. I'll have a sausage, peppers, and onions for you.
Yeah, please do. One topic I kind of wanted to touch on is that's kind of been on my radar for the past few weeks. I've been working with Kevin McKernan over at Medicinal Genomics to identify certain plants that I was recently, we would just call them recently acquired from a clone provider that is a well-known clone provider in another state. And I think it should be known that out of the 12 samples that we sent in, 8 of them hit hot for HLVD, which would be hop latent viroids. And these are really well-known varieties that a lot of people are growing. And I know other people have these same cuts from the same exact nursery. So we're really trying to find more information about the RNA and just better understand what do we do as cultivators and as horticulturists and agriculturists to really work together and bring everyone's minds together to find a way to not only rid the plant of this viroid, but to better understand how this is happening and how it's being passed along. So we're in the midst of testing, everything from water to see if if water is a carrier. Let's say you're using a cloner and you're putting a clone in with several hundred other varietals, and you're looking to go into production with that. How is that being passed along? At what stage is it being passed along, and how to essentially move forward and make the right choice to either send it to, through the right SOP or protocols to rid the plant. So we don't have to start over and we don't lose these amazing varieties that we've all kept for so long. Because I think it's a big conversation that is a silent killer to a lot of varieties and a lot of people that don't know they have it.
Yeah, you can do simple things like flame torch your cutting tools between every plant piece that you cut. Sure. And you can use, instead of a big bucket of water, you could use little tiny tall skinny pipettes of water for each individual branch so that they're not cross-contaminating each other, if that's the problem.
Yeah, I think it's, and also in the same breath, there were some things that were in a cloner with these other varieties that did not test positive. So there's a lot to understand here, and there isn't any guidance really at all. So we really need to better understand what's happening, how this is happening. And, I know that these clones are in other people's hands. Like I know other farms that are growing these exact plants. They just don't know it. It's
have they expressed the problem?
I don't believe so. We believe that it's highly likely that it's really hard to trigger these responses. I think that things like fusarium and other things like that are coming into play actually trigger the plant's immune response to show more of these traits. Again, we're really far off in terms of factual evidence here. but we really need to understand and have this dialogue, because that's alarming to me. These are really well-known varieties. I'm not even going to talk about what varieties they are, but they are really well-known varieties that a lot of people love and cherish. And yeah, we really need to come together as a community and try to figure this out. Because I know there's things like chemotherapy, there's light therapy, there's some TC, that we can do. But again, there's no real guidance as a community that I've seen to date, unless someone here on this panel, and that's why I'm bringing it up, has any information to share. I know Kevin McKernan and myself are really, over this next week, we're going to be doing some other types of tests. I'm going to retest those same moms, take cuts from different parts of those plants, and try to zone the actual mom into specific zones, so we can see if hey, maybe the left side of the plant wasn't infected, but the right side was. These are things that, because it's a virus, these are all possibilities.
Well, who's done a lot of work with this is Segra.
Right.
I've heard. They say they can successfully clean up that virus from plants. They can identify it, then clean it up, then guarantee it's eliminated.
Well, there's a place here in Abbotsford, and as we're talking about this, we have mother houses and places that I'm in the midst of going through. A place was destroyed 2 days ago when everything was tested positive for this virus. I've seen it. We've been dealing with it. It's rapidly going through the West Coast here. These strains, I don't want to name, but I know the strains that are infected are coming up from the U.S. They've hit houses up here. It's actually being transported through thrips too. So if you got thrips and different bugs and you got the strain, you got a problem, because it went through one through another through thrips. So we're having it tested here in the Fraser Valley. I'm actually having my strain tested because I actually have something that might have passed on to me, which I talked to Mark the other day about, talking with Segra, because this is a major problem. It's a major virus that's being passed throughout the community. And it's also coming in seed. It's also coming from cuttings. So they're breeding with it, and these seeds are being popped, and then we're seeing seeds being popped that have no resin. I'm in the midst of popping one right now. 4 weeks in, 3 of them are showing nothing but traits. The 4th one I took out of my room. It's sitting outside. It's got nothing. It looks like cabbage. And that would be a cookies and cream purple punch cross GMO. And I mean, I'm identifying it. I'm seeing it right now. It's real, guys. And we're sanitizing things. We have scissors attached to every mother. You only use that scissor to that mother. Nothing changes. You're talking about water. We've never talked about water. That's a major I'm looking at right now, because with the water staying the same. So when I went through one place right now, and all 7 ones went through, so it infected one mother house. So now we got a hole out here. Everybody's kind of like freaking out right now. As you're talking about this, we're right smack in the middle of this.
And so, I know of 27 viruses which attack cannabis. Okay, most of them, there are not negative symptoms. In other words, they can have the virus, but they don't express any negative symptoms. No economic.
They need the vaccine.
Vaccine.
Maybe, yes, but that would be the Delta 9 vaccine. Yes,
Absolutely.
but yeah, it's I'd say of these 27, about half of them can be transmitted by clones, by seeds, by pollen. So yeah, it once something spreads, it's a bitch to get rid of it.
Yeah, we tested for tobacco streak, tobacco ring spot, hops mosaic, Arabis mosaic, and cucumber mosaic, and none of those hit. So, we did do a spread, but like someone mentioned,
was the test that you used specifically for cannabis, or was it just a general test for the industry, for the vegetable industry or something?
So Kevin, I believe, uses qPCR to do this. Medicinal Genomics carried out the testing. I didn't personally do the testing, but I contributed the samples.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's testing specifically for cannabis viruses and not just the virus in general, because there are test kits for the virus in general, which aren't as good when you test cannabis with it.
I see. Yeah. So I would imagine Kevin's got, I mean, his array in his lab is really impressive. He has all the right instrumentation to get the job done, and he has ample space there and a great team. So, you know, and we're also going to be sequencing all these varieties and sequencing the whole genome, just because I think it would be great to understand if this is also affecting the genome and what type of expressions that are coming off of that. So it'd be really interesting just to tie all these things together, have some dialogue, provide some guidance for the community, and better understand the things that we don't understand. It was extremely alarming. Like, I called him immediately when I started seeing these traits from these new things that were sent to me, or we acquired, I should say.
Well, that's on the negative side. On the positive side is, in the last 3 months, they have published several papers. One is on several genes which are resistant to powdery mildew, and the other one is a gene which shows susceptibility. So if you have these genes, the resistant one is dominant, which meant even if you just had one copy of it, it should confer resistance. Whereas the I'm not sure about the susceptibility one, whether or not it is dominant or not.
Well, that's interesting you bring that up, because that's exactly what Kevin and I were talking about, is like the gene response, you know, in some of these varieties, you know, some of them are getting PM that were, quite frankly, resistant to them all along for I don't know. I mean, I'd grown some of these for around 10 years, and I'd never seen that type of response from these cultivars. So it's really all these things, and all this stuff is tied together. I do believe that. We just, again, we don't really know where these things are crossing, you know, touching each other, and they're getting it, or it is the scissors, it is an open wound or not. Just so much to understand. So I just wanted to bring it up because it does affect resin production. It does affect our ability to work with these chemicals in post-processing. So, you know, I just want to try to bring it up and just have good dialogue on it.
I'm going to say there's lots of information on it right now. Hops, latent viroid. There's warning shot to the Canadian cannabis industry. Some new websites coming out right now. How it was infected, where it came from out of California. They're saying it might have came from hemp. I've done a lot of research on it. The papers I was just talking about, I gave to a friend yesterday, but definitely it's kind of like it's after the market in a sense.
They talk about that it was first discovered by Dark Heart Nursery in Northern California, but I had read about the exact same virus in hop fields in Poland more than 7 years earlier.
There you go. See, that's where we got to really trace it back to. It's interesting with finding out more about this disease, because we haven't really looking at it. And like you were saying, it shows up on one side of the plant, and it's just like one side is infected. But what we understand, the whole, it's kind of like it's in the DNA, it's in the blood. If that one part is infected, the whole plant's infected. There's a lot of people been trying to pass on cuttings. Oh, can you take this cut and save it for me? Right. Well, that's how it really screwed this industry right now, because that's what's been happening. Everybody's been packing around those Mac 1 cuts and all of these Skittles and all these things. I'm saying these names because it's real, guys. These strains have this virus. They have the disease. It's there. I mean, and it's being passed through, like I said, you got through thrips, through cuttings, through pinching. You pinch one strain, you go to another, you're passing that along. It's dangerous as hell. It is extremely, you guys got to really pay attention to it. If you have it, kill everything. Start from seed, go back to your old seeds, watch a lot of new seeds. It's like, that's what we've been doing. We just got rid of everything because.
Yeah, but seeds are not free of viruses.
Exactly. So it's the new seeds we're even talking about. We're going back to the old genetics. Everybody's like, you got all those old seeds from the 80s. I'm like, of course I do. Like,
well, what Sagra does is they outgrow it. So they grow it
9 months
in vitro, and it grows. They take the tip of the tip of the tip, and it grows faster than the virus spreads in the plant. So therefore you get, if you do that a few times in a row, you get a clean piece eventually.
Now I know why. Thank you for explaining that to me, Sam. That's I was wondering how they would do that, but that would explain it. That's really cool to understand that.
Hey, welcome to Wade. Wooksauce is also in the house. How's it going, guys?
What's up? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. You know, started the morning off with Sam holding up some THCP, telling us it was so strong he couldn't walk after he dabbed it a couple of times.
Wow.
So that was an interesting start to the day. Probably not going to be getting any THCP anytime soon.
Yeah,
Just the regular dabs.
that sounds intense.
Just regular devs are strong enough, I think.
Although imagine the booth at like a cannabis cup and it just said, so you think you can dab. And you're just scooping out big 1/4 gram dabs of the THCP for these young bucks that are like, hell yeah, I can dab like 2 grams at a time.
Well,
Like,
it's easy to dab, but the trouble is what's going to happen to you 10, 15 minutes later. It's easy to get it down. I smoked 2 or 3 of them, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And, wasn't that impressed. And then I started feeling it.
Well, maybe they should pair up with a mattress company. So then there's a couple beds nearby. Everyone's
or a hammock company, maybe?
yeah, there we go.
Yeah. How are you doing, Wade?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I'm really intrigued at Sam's experience with THCP. We've been reading about it for a while now, since it was found in Italy. And this would be the first person I've heard who actually consumed some of it. And meantime, Sam is well known for enjoying heroic doses. So what was it actually like, Sam? Sorry for being late, but I'd love to hear it.
You were a day late and $1 short. I'm sorry, Wade. It was very strong. It kind of reminded me more of 11 hydroxy. In other words, if you eat a gram of THC, you'll get very, very stoned from, like a hashish cookie that has a gram of THC in it, 1,000 milligrams. And for some people, that alone, and if not a 2nd gram for sure, will make it so that they can't really walk. They get the staggers. And it's not from the THC, it's from the first pass through the liver, and it comes out as 11 hydroxy. And that's what's actually giving you the staggers. It's very similar to the effects of THC, but it's actually stronger than THC. But wait.
Is it fair to say that you felt it more strongly in your body as versus in your brain? Is that fair?
I think that's probably true. I'm not sure if it started that way, but it certainly seemed to end up that way.
So you weren't like going to go for a jog?
No, I had I had trouble walking from one room to the next.
That's something
I
else.
was afraid I was going to fall over.
Yeah, one of those THCP accidents.
Yes. So do you think that this should be a product in an unregulated market sold like Delta 8 and other, THC acetate?
I kind of think
Well,
those should be in a regulated market too, myself.
I'm not sure THC acetate is sold in an unregulated market, because under the federal law, CSA, THC acetate is a semi-synthetic. It's illegal.
So listen, you having Pinocchio up on the screen there instead of your Dr. Seuss one, is this a metaphor that you're all pulling our legs here today, or?
No, it's because I was too stoned before and I didn't even notice.
All right. There he is.
I honestly did not even notice.
See what THCP does to you, folks? Stay
Yeah,
away
it's-
from it.
It starts rotting your brain cell by cell.
I'll take it. So what's going on in California with Alice and Wooksauce? You guys are just growing weed and processing weed and smoking weed and making hash and kind of living that life, or what?
Go ahead.
This week there was Hall of Flowers. It was pretty interesting. It was my first like industry event that was like B2B. So it was pretty interesting to see how the industry became just like any other industry, right? Events with like free samples of everything, high THC strains, and people making a trend out of it. Bunch of fun designs of companies that you look, the design is amazing, but once you see the product is not that interesting. So it was fun to see, and a bunch of
Like
good
real
products.
marketing, like real,
Real
marketing.
marketing. There
Just
we
like
go.
all the other products out there.
It
This doesn't look like the picture.
So it was fun. Like I had a good time. It was actually interesting. Finn went one day too. It's pretty good to network for the people that are in the regulated businesses. And well, we've been processing less harvests, cash. But we're taking like a little like grow break right now. We just have like some plants outdoors. We're taking like a little indoor break, maybe to the end of the year, and see what's up. And that's it. What about you, Flynn?
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously the same as far as all the gardening stuff goes. But yeah, I thought Hall of Flowers was pretty interesting. I definitely see, I don't know, more big money openly coming into the field and spending a lot of money on, you know, marketing and stuff like that, marketing their product. It's definitely getting the race just to get a license and like have stuff on the shelves is getting less and less, and the race to like price points and hitting lower price points and stuff. We've definitely seen like the solventless market change a lot in California in the last like year or so.
That's true. Got way bigger. Like there are
The
multiple
popularity
brands now.
has definitely increased. A lot of brands have started moving into the space and putting out very consumer friendly products, I will say respectfully.
Next year, they will have a state fair in Sacramento for the state of California, and they're going to have cannabis in it for the first time.
Yeah, I saw that actually in the paper.
I'm one of the actual ambassadors for the actual event for it. So we'll be promoting it and making it aware, as well as there'll be you'll be able to get the same golden bear that you can get from any other agricultural product at the state fair. It'll be in July of 2022. We have submission information that will be letting people know that now it is only open to legal growers and licensed growers at this time. We had to start somewhere. So I understand there's a lot of underground growers who definitely probably could throw their hat in the ring quite well. However, it is just open currently to legal markets, so producers.
Although I will be opening up a small legal business, and everybody that wants to give me $1,000,
small legal business,
I'll be glad to enter yours into the contest because I know yours is best.
Love it. Is it going to be just flower, or will there be hash as well?
It's just flower this year. So I think it's THC and CBD. Again, this is the first start of the first, launch in. So it's, we couldn't throw everything in the ring out the gate. However, I would anticipate, since the foot is in the door, we're going to see some progressions. But, stay tuned. We'll see how it goes. Again, it's the first time, and it's that I'm aware of, it's the first state to actually include cannabis within their state fair competition. So
I believe that's true.
That's interesting. I just went to my first state fair ever, and it was very interesting to see. How is it going to be? Like, people are going to try the flowers, or they're just going to see it? It's going to be like a way for go in a building and see all the different flowers.
I am unsure. I have been to the California State Fair, and they usually show the first, second, and third, so the ribbon placers, and then a couple of the others. It's never been done before. So I'm unsure of the judging, when it's going to take place, how it is going to be judged, et cetera, at this time. So it is still information we are gathering. But as ambassadors, we're just initially promoting the event and making people aware of the submittal times and information, so that if they want to, get involved, they know where to, come play.
I wonder, are they going to allow cannabis retailers to have booths there, I guess, like they would at a cannabis event? And will it be like a permitted event where they could sell? Not sure.
If they don't the first year, they will the second year, because they're going to realize how much money there is that advertisers are willing to pay.
The farm to table.
Yeah.
So here it is. I have my fact sheet up. So who can enter? The competition is open to all licensed California cultivators. Divisions and categories align with the Department of Cannabis Control's license types to ensure proper representation and support of California's legalized market. SC Labs will be doing the testing. Entrants will be classified in 3 divisions according to their grow light source: outdoor, mixed light, and indoor. Cultivators can submit multiple strains in multiple divisions. Each division will have awards for 7 cannabis compound categories, including 2 primary cannabinoids, THC and CBD, and 5 terpenes: limonene, pinene, myrcene, caryophyllene, and terpinolene.
Interesting.
And then the awards breakdown. Let's see, the competition will be scored objectively through science-based analysis performed by one of California's premier cannabis and hemp testing labs, SC Labs. They will provide all entrants with the required certificate of analysis, as well as the proprietary PhytoFacts chemometric report that will quantify all the unique compounds of the submission to determine the award-winning flower. Entrants are vying for 77 awards for cannabis flower, including medals for bronze, silver, and gold in each division and category. Double gold will be awarded to those who place gold in 2 or more categories. 7 of the coveted Best of California Golden Bear trophies will be given to the best all around in each category, regardless of division. So submissions will open in November. Submissions will close in March of 22. Notified winners in May of 22. There will be a promotional tour in June, and then the California State Fair Award celebration. So that is the fact sheet we've been provided thus far.
Does it say how they're actually judged? By smoking, by analysis, or?
The testing is one. It is not stated if smoking will be part of it. I think it will most likely be by testing analysis at this time. I could be wrong. I'm open to knowing more because I am an Emerald Cup judge. So I'm curious to know where it's going to go. But as ambassadors, this is what we've been tasked with at this time.
I understand, and we both know, because we both seen the results of many analysis tests of cups, and the one that's the highest in THC, or the one that looks the best, isn't necessarily the one that people think is the best. So,
correct. And I would anticipate, like, since this is the first time in a new competition, that these types of discussions will be fruitful in that as things proceed forward, because again, since it is new, as we saw with the Emerald Cup, it changed over time as things progressed, and I would anticipate this potentiality because of that specific connotation that you stated, Sam, and how even though it looks good and looks the sexiest, it doesn't mean it is the best cannabis, but of course that's still individually subjective.
And individuals as a group will tend to agree, but they all have their own preferences. Some like it with CBD, some like it with particular terpene sweets. And if that's your favorite, that's your favorite. It's not a matter of right or wrong. It's that you just like something different.
So, this is the guide point. So other state fairs, we've got, quite a few, 18 legal states now. So including Washington, D.C., but D.C. doesn't have its own fair because it's not a state. But every state I've been to has a state fair, and some are definitely smaller than others. Some are larger. California's has its own permanent pavilion with display areas in multiple buildings. So I'm not even sure it'll be in the agricultural section, most likely. In the past, I've seen photos and pictures of plants, in the art department. So I'm very interested to see what the display area will look like, as well as what we'll be able to see, as well as, will there be the posting of the results with the flowers, etc., for people to see, to get a better understanding about how it is technically judged.
I don't think I've even ever been to the state fairgrounds in Sacramento. You have.
Well, come on down in 2022 to the California State Fair and come see the cannabis.
I've been to some of the other counties, but not the state fair. I've been to like the Santa Cruz County Fair and some of the other ones.
Yeah, I wonder if if it's going to be a countywide situation as well, so that some of the counties can recognize now that the state fair is, because usually it's a succession. You get the local, then the county, then the regional, then the state. So it's be interesting to see as things progress as well, since this is starting at this starting point.
Humboldt County Fair is going to be a good one then. Once they allow that, that's going to be the real.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
No,
Mendocino too.
We should do the Emerald Triangle. Come on.
Trinity, not so much. Sorry. There's just not much business or, legal retail. It's just that where location is, unfortunately, compared to Humboldt and Mendocino, or correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I'd agree. I'd agree.
What are you smoking on, John?
Derbs.
I'll
go out on a limb and say he's smoking on this.
Ooh, what
that
is
looks
that?
good.
Yeah.
What's that?
That is Johnny B's Medi Kush.
Ooh, that looks nice.
I've been puffing it. It's been pretty darn nice. On point with everything else.
I was
Nice.
looking for my microphone and it was like this small in the corner. And I was like, Mark, I was smoking it, the Medico, same thing, but it's the Pocket Tech. So I've been smoking a lot of this, but if I put it in my pocket, it turns so creamy. It's so tasty. But definitely, it's great to see everybody here today. Oh, the 90U. This is beautiful. I'm so happy with it.
You forever changed the 73. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, it's just beautiful. And now, of course, Van Spam. It's
Here, you can't even see it.
making some amazing resin. Check out this. This is like some Chem Dog with some GMO, and this is fire. It is so fire. Oh, I love the chem. And then the creme brulee you were just talking about, I actually saw the mom the other day. I want to get cuttings from that. And I love the chem. So I can't wait to see how that's going to run. And of course, going to have to get it tested first for that virus. Damn it.
It's got the virus. Come on, let's be honest.
Probably does. That's why it's sitting there. You know what? All of a sudden, this mom out of nowhere goes, "You want this?" We're like, "Well, we'll put it over here for a minute." And now we have to go and have it taken a better look at, right? Dangerous. Well, I'm going to enjoy this dab with you guys. Instead of hearing the torch, I'm going to mute myself.
Well, I, for one, am excited for shoulder season, waiting for snowboarding season to begin in November. Shoulder season here on the West Coast is mushroom foraging season. So we get the next multiple months to go and pick morels and turkey tails and lobsters, cauliflower mushrooms, and reishi and red conchs, and just all sorts of amazing chanterelles. We've got a lot of tasty edible mushrooms, but then we also have very soon we'll start seeing cyanescens and stunzies and baeocystins and azarescens and semolinciatas, all like growing in and around my neighborhood, which is just every year in shoulder season. And I remember when I didn't know about mushrooms, how I used to be bummed out about shoulder season because it's just rain. And it's like, oh, we just had an amazing summer, but the rain hasn't turned into snow yet. This is just go into the forest and have a beautiful hike. And it was always fresh and whatnot. But then I discovered the mushroom, and that really changed everything for me.
And what taste do you like the best from mushrooms? I like chanterelles really a lot.
I love chanterelles for sure. We have a variety of them, like different ones, like the golden foots and the yellows, and there's like 3 or 4 different chanterelles. I like the little golden foot ones. They're not very big, but I made a couple of soups last year with those ones, and they were spectacular. I really like the texture of the cauliflower mushroom. It's beautiful for pasta. It just goes real nice with even a white or a red sauce and some nice pasta. So I'm stoked on getting out there soon and picking even porcinis right now. People are picking right now. Boletes, Admiral boletes, growing, popping out right now. So, and not just in the Pacific Northwest for that matter, wherever you are, you can look into your amateur mycology groups that are in and around your cities. And there's people in every city into this stuff. And the mushroom community is very much like the cannabis community in the sense that it wants you to know the information. It's like, yeah, check this out. Like, you got to check this out. It's really good stuff. And so that's my little spiel on mushroom picking, because I'm super excited about the mushrooms popping out here soon.
I want to give you I love the mushroom. It's awesome. I'm going to say one thing. Everybody's talking about what that THCP and how high you get. Since I've lost weight, I am getting slammed. I get so high from doing dabs. Like right now, I just did a dab and I don't get this high. And lately, wow, I think like THC holding in the fat cells, maybe that's a real thing, because lately for me, it's been like awesome. Just saying.
Thanks for sharing,
Johnny. That's awesome, man. It's good. It's a good way to express that you're getting healthier, and congratulations on working at that, man. That's a really I think we all need more of that. We need more inspiration to be healthier and eat better and exercise. And
well, this morning I'm down 64 pounds. I get up and walk every morning, every day. I get up and walk 20 minutes. I do slight stretching, and you know what? It's been fantastic. And then like just having those nano shots in my smoothies for breakfast, and really paying attention to my cannabinoid consumption, and it's been, and now like I say, and when you're talking about taking those higher THCs during the day, and then in the afternoon at night, I've been doing these like CBD balanced 50/50s, and I'm definitely getting a lot higher from just a regular dab that I would do 2 or 3 of. Now it's kind of like, wow. And I'm just healthier and feeling a lot better with it. And thanks, Collin. I appreciate that. And everybody here for, always educating and telling us more how we feel better every day. That's it. I'm high.
Good to be high on a Sunday morning.
Hey, how's your season going, my friend? It's good to see you, and also great to hear you. How's the summer been for you?
Was that me?
Wade.
Oh, I missed it. Hi, Collin, and thanks for the call out. It's been a pretty challenging summer, actually. Pretty vigorous fire season here in California. We had 4 fires in Nevada County in 1 month, all of them caused by humans. Me personally, I've been experiencing a lot of turmoil within myself, a lot about all of the effort and years of time I put into trying to create reasonable regulations, both locally and at the state level, and to see how disastrously the legal market is unfolding for the people who have done this work over the years is really, it's hard because I care a lot about cannabis. I care a lot about patient access. I care about quality product. And all of those things are not doing very well in the legal California cannabis market these days. And whenever I hear people getting excited about the idea of federal legalization, I just think of how badly California did it and cannot imagine that the feds would do any better at it. So for me, I have a few plants in the garden. I'm enjoying how that's going, just the simplicity of doing something I love because I love it, not because I'm trying to change the world or even in this case, in my case, trying to find specific versions of cannabis that might be of help to certain families, for example. That work has been taken on by our local Cannabis Alliance. We've created a donation program that's very closely modeled on what we were doing with Caladrius Network. And I'm grateful to the legal farmers and manufacturers and distributors and retailers that are involved in that program. So that's good. But yeah, for me personally, it's been a rough summer between fire and some health challenges of my own. And like I said, what's the growing realization of how badly the California legal scheme is working. Yeah, it's been a rough summer. I mean, I'll just say the Department of Cannabis Control, which is the new regulatory agency, just published 390 pages of emergency regulations and allowed 5 days for public comment on them. And I got a pretty good ways into those pages and found a whole bunch of things. Yeah, I don't want to even go down that hole, but yeah, that's kind of where Wade's at today. So I was really glad to see a last minute call out to do Hash Church this morning, because it's really a joy to see some people I have such deep respect for, and how grateful I am for the opportunity to just hear people who have this plant at heart and are still trying to change the world. So that's where Wade's at the moment. Thanks for calling me out, Collin. Cheers.
Yeah, man. Well, Wade, I think you have changed the world. Quite honestly, your contributions with your varietals have actually moved the needle. So I think, I think that should be known. And if it's not, I see you over there, and I hope you see it too, because it's very apparent. The contribution's real, and I think humbly, I hope we all can help, follow in your footsteps, my man. So thanks for doing the work.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Thanks for doing the work, Wade. I often think of Forrest as well. Even when I saw you come in today, I was like, oh man, I spoke to him a few times on Facebook, but I know he's also had some difficult times, and be good to get him on here and maybe just spread the love a little bit, because we have the whole community has a huge respect for both you and Forrest, and the things that you've done for catastrophically ill children, and in just being kind and being real in an industry that has a whole lot. And I think when you were talking about how federal legalization, and I always have faith in cannabis. We got through prohibition, but now we're getting into a new battle. And this new battle is, when you go mainstream, not only are the mainstream people who are going to try and get those paychecks and who mastered those systems, so they'll get themselves into position right away, the key people that you don't want in those positions. That's one part of it. But then you're also expanding and bringing in this whole new group of people that now has changed the face of what makes up the cannabis community. Because it used to be this very small kind of rootsy group, and now it's like, everyone. It's like, oh, you're all in the group now. And so I think it's taking time for our subset groups to channel within those groups and to actually find our foundation and be like, because listen, I remember when people were going to prison, and I swear there was nothing worse than that. That was the worst. We all have to agree about that. This sucks and hurts my heart as well, because it doesn't quite get you the way locking up our friends for life did. That really got under our asses. This is more subdued and more like, no, but you can grow a few plants. Like, don't worry about it, dude. Like, so I feel you. It's still a battle, but think of the battle we just got through that most of us never thought we were ever going to get through. And of course, we're in another battle now, and hopefully we, good people can continue to put their intention towards good things, to making things work out in a way that I don't mind if people come up with ways that make this better and make them profit. I just don't want people who are parasitic to suck the life force out of our culture while using terms like, we're trying to build a better culture. It's like, we already have a culture. Why don't you come in and absorb our culture that the culture actually created itself? And I still have faith. I'm in a federal regulated situation, and it's been pretty intense the last couple of years. It's gone ups and downs, and it's been traumatic, and it's still pretty rough out there, like being a small fish in a ocean full of giant sharks. But you know what? If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And I think don't lose
also,
faith.
Eternal vigilance is the price of cannabis freedom.
There you go.
True. Can't put our feet up.
Well
One
said.
thing I do like about the legalization, what you're just talking about, and the federal laws, that you're jumping through the hoops and you're getting to those stages, but we are starting to see some type of standardization when it comes to some of these products that really we've been looking for in the medical aspects. Like I've been talking about these nano shots and some of these drinks that have been really like game changers. I'm giving it, my father's having these balanced drinks and he's seeing a change. So it's nice to be able to offer these products to people that can actually just go to the store and be obtain some of these and be able to get a benefit and get that relief that they've now been looking for. To me, it's fabulous to start seeing it. Some people don't like it, but I think everybody here will concur that this is the greatest thing that we've been fighting for, and seeing these legal products that people can actually obtain and be able to get relief from is something that it's awesome to see lately. I'm just so happy about it, to be honest.
Not me, Johnny. I can honestly say I've been fighting for the last 50 years for THCP.
I need some of that THCP, by the way.
And it finally came.
But what you're speaking about the cultural separation is something that is an inherent problem we have, because marketers from any other line of reality has created their own cultures in the sense, or try to create them around products, around ideas, whereas the problem they find is that you can't cash in on cannabis culture. It's about being, real, and marketing and all that isn't about being real. So they're trying to impose their wills and ideas on something that they can't even quantify, that they haven't even bothered the time to immerse themselves into quantify. They're coming at it from a product perspective, as opposed to, an understanding that a lot of us here risked our lives and our freedoms to try to keep this plant perpetuated against every way, shape, or form. And out of, persistence and dogged persistence, we've actually realized these realities, or as I say, I don't like your reality, I am going to substitute it with my own. We have substituted cannabis into the reality of the world through hard work, labor, dedication. Brothers and sisters are still going to jail here in America. So, the job isn't done here. We don't have federal legalization. but the marketers in these small little 10th Amendment experimental realities where we are completely off the rails. They don't know what they're doing. They're trying to encapsulate something they can't even grasp, and they won't even take the time to understand or immerse themselves to a point where they should know a Wade. They should know what's, Caladria Network. They should know what's going on. They should be the ones funding it and promoting it, as opposed to them being lost to the dustbin and left to the side. No offense in any way, shape, or form, Wade. It's just how unfortunately, the marketers don't know how to market it. And it's the same way why, it isn't sexy going around talking about giving free weed to everybody, but we still had to go around and pass laws here in California, 45 to actually 35, pardon me, to actually still be able to give away free cannabis, because that wasn't established. So even though things have changed, we still have to continue to do the change, but cannabis culture just needs to continue to just be itself. Fuck all this marketing and all that other bullshit. Just do you, and all the marketing will continue to be ignored as they try to shape it into, oh, this, that way, and the other. It's going to be what it's going to be, which is why, the Emerald Cups and all that will continue to exist, because the overregulation is a whitewashing of cannabis, whereas the culture still exists. It's still in the traditional market. It's still ongoing. People are still going around with male scales and weighing out eighths and ounces, and dealers are still doing well. So, the underground hasn't stopped. It hasn't changed. It's just being marketed differently and terribly, and at our expense and at our culture's expense. And the United Nations actually recognizes culture, and we're going to be working on cannabis culture as itself, but not this marketed shit that we're being served. Sorry to get off my soapbox.
And besides that, I've already copyrighted cannabis culture. So,
Oh, that was a long lawsuit between the owner of Friendly Stranger, Robin, and Mark Emery from Cannabis Culture. That went on for a long time, that fight over the name Cannabis Culture. Good old cannabis industry, eh?
well, I didn't copyright the name. I copyrighted the concept of cannabis culture. Any cannabis culture belongs to me.
Well, thankfully, that means it's in good hands, Sam.
Everyone send all your Bitcoin to Sam.
That's right. I'll sell it to you cheap.
Only one Bitcoin.
Culture
Well,
coin.
there was a time when that was cheap.
Oh, wait, before I forget,
Was.
can we talk a little bit about how beautiful the dog is that you guys have there?
Oh yeah, that Australian Shepherd is amazing.
Dude, that is a ridiculous.
He just made it from Brazil. It was my
Look at this
dog.
guy.
I just brought my 2 dogs from Brazil. I've been 2 years away from them. It was super hard, but thankfully we made it. So this is Mookie. Mookie, say hi to them. And he's actually oh, I'm sorry. There's a smoothie in front of the dog. This is a Shetland sheepdog. He's not like an Australian Shepherd. So he's this size. He will be this size forever. He has 7 years old, actually.
He's
Wow.
unbelievable.
Pretty
Cute
He
dope.
looks
one.
happy to be back with you.
He is for sure. He's going through some issues like skin issues and stuff, but we're trying to solve it. Dogs with breeds, I don't know. I think that when you breed too much with the dogs, sometimes it's hard. Like the other 3 dogs we have, they're mutts and not mutts. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
None of them have any issue. Maybe the genetic variations and things like this make them like way stronger on life.
Isn't that interesting that we call them mutts, but then we call the purebreds, but you're like, here, get this dog. It's 10 grand. It's like 4 years later, the thing is like suffering terribly with hip dysplasia. It's just like grinding its hips on. It's like, what the fuck are we doing in life?
Yeah, it is crazy. And can we compare that with cannabis too? With the breeding, with the people breeding crazy things, or no? What do you think, boys?
I don't know.
I think Sam probably has more experience than anyone here, but I think when you exhaust lines bad things can happen if you start selecting, unknowingly. I think.
Well, cannabis is an outcrosser, which means when you use small population numbers and you only breed within a given small number of plants, that it doesn't do as well. For really vigorous cannabis, you want to outcross it, Thai with Afghan, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Create the real nuts of the cannabis.
Yeah, and there's differences too, right? Because in cannabis, we're looking to breed, cultivars that probably get us very high or have a particular bouquet to them. Not necessarily how they look, whereas dogs were more like, sure, certain dogs were bred to do certain things, but other dogs, like the German Shepherd, had a really nice straight back. And then the guy who bred it down, who gave it that super humped out, so it just goes down at the back. So the hips kind of go way down. And if you look at old photos of the German Shepherd and what it looks like today, and it's one of the dogs that ends up getting that hip dysplasia, like the worst out of all the breeds, because this guy just thought it looked super cool. Like he was just like, this is how we should breed this. And I think that's kind of a bummer.
Yes, especially because we're dealing with living animals, right? That feel and live for years.
I don't know about you, but my cannabis is living also.
I know it's feeling different than a dog though. I don't know. I don't eat meat. But I eat salad. I don't mind killing the salad to eat. I don't mind much about the salad.
That's because you can't hear their screams.
Yeah, I can hear their screams when I pull up the little carrots or the little baby corns or anything. I hear them screaming like hell, man. That's why I just go murder the animals instead.
That was
Sounds about right. Yeah, you know what? You can get into some pretty trippy philosophies there, like in regards to how you feel about breeding a plant versus breeding a dog, or versus eating an animal versus eating a plant. And I've definitely seen some pretty good arguments on both sides. I say that people should just be themselves and do what they need to do. And
the only innocents are the Eritreans.
The breatharians.
Exactly.
The breatharians aren't bothering anyone. They when they stay at your house, they never eat anything out of your fridge.
Yes, but when they take a breath of air, they might be swallowing a few insects or viruses or something, and that's murder.
That's true. What are you gonna do? Probably not too many breatharians out there, though. I'm guessing they have a short lifespan. I've heard.
In India, you probably saw Jain temples, and the Jains, the really, really orthodox, devout ones, they sweep the sidewalk before they walk on it to make sure that they don't accidentally step on any ants.
Right. Sweeping ants is okay. Stepping on them is a huge no-no in the culture.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Dan, I have a question for you. I've been looking a lot and thinking a lot about mutations in leaf, in the way that leaf structure has kind of formed in the plant morphology. And I was wondering if, when things like Australian bastard and duckfoot were kind of isolated, historically we've bred these plants with these these very traditional leaf sets. Why have we not moved away from these in terms of resin production? And do you think that's intentionally something that certain breeders should start looking towards? Because let's face it, some of these like plant cells and these water leaves are just problematic. So why wouldn't we just start breeding towards better morphology that kind of lends itself towards extraction, so you're not defoliating at week 21 and then again going back in?
I think people are doing both. People are doing it for what do they call them? There's a whole name of them besides duckfoot and Australian bastard.
Well, there's like fern or
the one
stuff from like Humboldt seed.
Yeah, Humboldt
Hold on.
Seeds is
Let me say-
selling from the breeder guy.
Mhm.
But I don't see I don't see any advantage in
So these are
growing
freak show seeds that I
the
just
freak
was.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put
I
the-
don't see any advantage in growing them other than they look trippy.
No, I've just never seen like, in terms of population, I've never seen traits in terms of resin production from any of these types of, morphologies that that lend itself to what we're talking about here in terms of resin. But I don't know, it just seems over time, there should be individuals looking at this from a deeper perspective. And I know I've been playing around with it for the past couple of years, and I've been finding some really interesting things. So I hope others are doing it too.
I used to be, but I sort of gave up with world phyllotoxy and diploid and triploid and things like that. But and there were differences, but yeah, the freak show is, I think, really trippy looking, but whether it has any practical application, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, no, likewise. I agree with that. But with that, I think there's opportunity for the right person to really work the lines, So
I'm to be honest, I'm more interested in the cannabinoid and terpene contents than anything else. I want lots of particular cannabinoids and terpenes.
right, and so that's exactly what I'm after. However, what I'm trying to illustrate, I guess, is what if we had less biomass around it, and it was more focused on the resin rather than.
Well, you can do that with more of a what people call sativa, narrow leaf drug variety. You can do that, but with wide leaf drug varieties like Afghans, they often have just as much resin on the leaves as the flowers. So reducing the leaf content isn't going to necessarily increase the resin content.
True. Now, from a contamination point of view, just in water hash, that's really where I'm thinking, the contamination perspective, in trying to remove some of that undesirable material. Maybe it'd be good for SIFT. I don't know. I think you're illustrating some really good points, but it's yeah. No, it's definitely something I think about a lot though, and I appreciate your perspective on it, because it's, as you know, it's just there's not a lot of people that are publicly talking about this type of work.
I think there's a lot of people doing it now. When we first started on it 20 years ago, there was nobody, but there's a lot of people breeding for cannabinoids and terpenes. The minor cannabinoids are pretty easy to get. I mean, CBD obviously is easy to get. CBG is easy to get. THCV is fairly easy to get. So CBC, I don't think that's so easy to get, but I bet you can get it.
Yeah, no, it's fair. With everything that's going on in Afghanistan, do you think, Sam, from your perspective, seeing all these changes over the decades that you've seen, do you think cannabis farming will still prevail, in that region?
I honestly cannot predict what the Taliban is going to do, because they've been on both sides of the line of drug dealing and taxing drugs. And I mean, they said they were suppressing the opium growing, but they were taxing the cultivators. I mean, I don't believe anything they say, and I don't know how anybody can rationally predict what they're actually going to do.
Do any of you follow like Baba's work, Baba 87? You all follow him? He's in Afghanistan, and I got actually very worried. I was even talking to Kim and Dem Canoli too, because since like Taliban got full on power, he actually hasn't posted anything on Instagram and haven't said anything. But this last week he answered for the first time. So I don't know if anyone here is connected with him, but it looks like he is still here in the world with us, and feel like they're watching, right? Social media. So he didn't give much information on like what's going on or like where is he or anything like that. But I don't know, just wanted to share with y'all, because if any of you like care about,
I've got his street address. Just ask me and I'll send it to you.
Actually, Himalayan Connection is in the chat right now saying Bubba is safe.
yay, cheers to Baba.
And I was just
when
joking.
he answered, it was very, very happy. So cheers to that.
And I was joking. I don't have anybody's street address.
Big shouts out to Indian Land Race Exchange. That's the work that all of you are all doing collectively is very important, and I thank you very much for doing that work. It's really, really important.
Well, I'm glad to get together on a Sunday afternoon while it's raining out for a couple of hours of hash church. I got a stop at 11 today, so we got about 15 minutes. If there's anything anyone in particular wants to bring up or talk about, or we can just let the conversation organically evolve and call it a day at 11 o'clock.
You're gonna go home. I think everybody needs a blowtorch to sanitize their tools. Like Sam was saying, we gotta use flame. It's important.
Well, that's one way you can do it. Yes, you can also put it in a peroxide or bleach dip.
Using a bleach dip is what we've been talking about. First, we're using.
Yeah.
What we've
But
got.
both of those will destroy viruses on contact. Heat and bleach, various dips.
So bleach and not isopropanol. So a lot of people were just using ISO, dipping in their scissors, and
I honestly don't know what's better, ISO or bleach, but I've used bleach. I've never used ISO, so I can't speak for it.
I'm gonna say bleach because that's what you said. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you.
ISO is not known to kill the virus, from what I understand.
Once again, Collin, that's great. Yeah, we got to talk about this. This is important that people, they're trying to use ISO. Thank you for really saying that. It's not going to work. Let's really reinforce this. People got to use bleach. They got to make sure their scissors are clean, and if possible, keep them tied to their strings until they know. And what I'm reading, what we're saying, you can have a plant that's infected, but I might not see it for a while. And all
Yeah, and there's some bad actors as well. There are plants that like ChemD has a variegation to it, so it may seem like it, but we've extensively tested those from other sources around, and we haven't found it on that variety quite yet. But I would say also make sure you're using clean water to just water your plants. Fusarium is a big problem right now, and other types of things like that, and that will actually that could actually produce and bring out plants, bring out the virus in plants that are not showing the traits. And they're plants that are, for instance, we have a plant that was brought into us, and it didn't show any traits of it. Like, you grew it out, it looked awesome, it smelled great, you extract everything extracted fine, and then you tested a sample and it came back hot. So these are the things we've got to work through, and there's other plants that are actually resistant to this, and I think that's the next step, is to start isolating and understanding
interesting to know what plant,
which plants are resistant, and then how long are they resistant.
One way you can tell is, for example, in the grape industry, when you buy grape stocks to plant a new grape vineyard, it's all certified virus-free. And the same thing with strawberry clones. Strawberry starts from Driscoll. They're all guaranteed virus-free. So in the future, that will be the case with cannabis. When people buy, if they're buying 50,000 or 100,000 clones each year, they want to get the same clone and they want it certified virus-free.
Yeah. Secra is the only one selling virus-free currently that I'm aware of. And there will be more in time. It's just, it takes a long time. There's 33 biological, supposedly, issues that can, infect plants through cloning. So we've been perpetuating clones and these problems for decades. which is why it also takes so long for them to pull these things out, because they're so
I think
deeply
there's-
embedded. And it's in the
Oh,
tissue
yeah.
culture, so they have to pull it out even before it's in the tissue culture.
I think there's
12-month
even
process.
more than that, Etienne, because I've found 27 viruses that have been ID'd in cannabis. Not all of them caused symptoms, but they were transmittable, and there was 27 of them. And then I know that there's a whole bunch of other bacteria and fungus, and so it's got to be a little bit bigger than the number you said.
Yeah.
That's just what's being quantified currently. That's all.
Someone in the chat.
More knowledge, more experience, more expansion.
Someone in the chat just said, doesn't most nurseries have a lab testing for this? No, they don't. Not most labs do not. I mean, most nurseries do not have a lab that works with them for these types of viroids, and that's problematic. So again, that's why we all need to bring better guidance to the community, so we all have some sort of ideology around what to do when this pops up.
Most nurseries honestly don't even know the 27 viruses that have been found in cannabis so far.
But even how to identify those viruses and what to look for, and even really what you're growing, and it like this hops, like you really got to look for it. Then you start noticing it, and then there are, it's to identify. It's the next step. Even we know that there's these viruses now, being able to identify them and which ones are going to affect yields or resin production.
And when they have no symptoms, it's really hard to identify them.
Correct.
But sometimes there can be 3 or 4 of them that are symptomless, but combined they do have symptoms.
And it won't be until they hit a growth threshold that they actually trigger and those viruses activate. So you can have different ones activate across the spectrum of your garden, depending on where it is in the isolation that's actually taking place. So, I mean, it's
you can
serious.
also back too, like you can rid the plant, and there's a lot of studies showing that it's actually showed back up. And that's the deeper thing for me that just look, I'm a clone kid. I came from the clone era.
If you eliminate it, it's gone unless it's reinfected by a contaminated tool or an insect or something else reinfects it. There could be nematodes that are infected. There could be various things that are infecting it. But if you truly get rid of it, it's gone until it is reintroduced.
Interesting. So you believe that it has to be reintroduced? It had been suggested to me before, Sam, that it could come back from the tissue because it's a virus, right? I mean, in theory, I guess that makes sense.
Then if it comes back, that means you didn't get rid of it in the first place.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So there's, so there you go. So it's again, even more, there's more layers on layers, right? So it's I hope that we can go through the process. Is it going to be a 12-month process to understand all of this or any of this? So I'll keep you updated as I go. And if there's someone at Segra you guys can introduce me to, and they're open to talking about this,
same page here.
I would love to just chat with someone about understanding what they found and
Probably Ian would be the best person for you to talk to, and then he would,
but the problem with Segra is they have a lot of time, money, and energy devoted to this, so they don't want to share their insider tricks so freely. I mean, they will share some of their information, but information that they spent a lot of money, time, and energy to develop themselves, they're a bit more tight-lipped about.
Understood. I get it.
Still worth chatting with them. At least you have access to a company that can clean your cultivars.
Well, yeah, even at all else, guys, I'm
gonna have some stuff dropped off on Monday at a place out here in the Fraser Valley to start getting some strains tested and start identifying some of the symptoms we might be seeing, and then talk more with you guys about some of these viruses that are really infecting some of the strains that are helping a lot of additional patients. And that's really the killer, is that a lot of these strains that are being infected are really the lot of the main strains that are being used out here, right? Like everybody else has their main key strains. That's what's actually being hit here is the main houses with the main strains. So kind of sucks.
Yeah, and the other thing is most people are just going to cull it because if you're in the regulated markets, you're it's the single of the week in the music world, but it's the flavor of the week in the cannabis world, right? So you're constantly playing that. You're the DJ, right? So I'm just concerned about these older varietals. I could care less about some of these newer things that are being passed around, but some of these some of these plants have been around for 30 plus years. I mean, I would hate one day to find out the California orange has hop laden virus and I can't fix it, right? That's my biggest concern, Sam. I don't care about these newer things that were given to us.
It can be fixed. Sagra will grow it, take tips from the tippy part, grow it again, do that several times in a row, and it comes out clean and virus free.
Well, for me, that's my big thing. I've been running my same strain since 2005. It's my medicine. And I fear that I might actually have that disease because it was spread through somebody that I know I have maybe. And now I'm like freaking out. And yeah, I don't want to lose something that's my medicine. And a lot of other people have those strains that they rely on and that they use every day. And if they get this disease, they might lose what they value so much for what they need. That's it.
Yeah.
So keep it clean, keep it safe.
Keep your grow room clean, keep everything clean. Don't pass around dirty cuts and try to use qPCR when you can, kids. It's cheap. It's not very expensive to get these tests done. Look it up, get it done, make sure you test your stuff and don't unsuspectedly pass things around.
$30 or $35 to get leaf
$30.
analysis. Yeah, $30 to get the leaf analysis.
Nothing.
There you go.
All right, well, I'm going to end it with a small video that I put up on Instagram the other day. Someone was just asking about it in the chat room, and this is Verdant down in California. You can check them out on Instagram, and they grabbed one of our craft units from Whistler Technologies, this like little compact, not super little, but much smaller than most of the hash making equipment we make at Whistler Technologies. And I just thought it was a tight video. Shout out to Carolina who went down there and filmed it. I am going to share my screen. It's just a 40-second video, very short, but worth sharing. Happy Hash Church, everyone. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you all.
Peace, everybody.
They're crushing it over there at Verdant.
Literally and figuratively.
So Marcus, walk us through this machine. So that's the filtration there, eh?
Looks clean to me. Don't we all know that sound so well? The spoon hitting the freeze dryer tray. Tap, 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 tap. I can't hear you, Collin.
Do one last dab before we go? I was going to ask you to walk us through the machine because I feel like I know what I'm looking at, but then I all of a sudden said to myself, maybe I don't.
You know what? I'm going to bring like Daniel and maybe one of the engineers on here soon, like in the next couple of weeks, and they can talk about it.
Because that collection piece right there is pretty great.
Oh yeah, no, it's set up. They're loving it. They sent us pictures of them like hugging it and stuff. It was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I'm going through this like hop latent viral disease right now through everybody around me. Every house that I go to, everybody's gotten infected. Everybody's being tested lately. It's really a shitstorm around me. Sucks. It's destroying places. It's real. We started talking about it, we heard about it, but then as we were being safe about it and trying to be so safe, it still happens. Like separating scissors, everything, and we were using ISO, and I think that was the big thing right there, Collin and Sam. Thank you for that. I think bleach has to now hit all of these places, and I'm going to make sure that happens to a lot of the people I know. I'm going to go buy a bunch of bleach today.
Yep, and
keep y'all posted.
And the best place the best places that are doing tissue culture and stuff, they have Bunsen burners that are burning,
Yeah.
and they put the tools under the Bunsen burners in between. And
Relapse. So that's perfect.
that's the best of the best.
Kill it with fire, ladies and gentlemen. Kill it with fire.
And on that note, woohoo! Peace out, everybody.
Peace, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks
Peace
again.
out. Have a good week, everyone.
Much love, much puffage.
Marco's like,
We're all-
I get cotton mouth just looking at that shit there, Sam. Damn.
I want that THCP.
good. This looks very psychedelic. That was That was an interesting thing to hear.
Yeah.
Did you dab it? How did you consume it?
Yes, it's dabbable.
It's dab. That's it.
Well, you go kill some plants.
Glad, buddy.
Peace out.
Peace.
Y'all, have a good day.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Peace, everyone.
Thanks, Marcus.